Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I am Cody. He is Andy. It is the 6th of December, 2023. We're getting down to the end of the year, my friend.
Getting down to the wire here. Is Santa going to come to your house this year? What do you think?
Hopefully I've been good enough for Santa to show up. I guess we'll find out here pretty soon.
What's you want? Naughty, nice, who knows?
Exactly. You got a little bit of a different view going on in your house there.
I do. It's literally the opposite side of the room.
Just flip it right around.
Little Christmas rotation for it. I don't even know how I did that, but that's okay.
Trading floor jacket hung up in the background. Looks very nice.
There you go, dude.
Got to get a shadow box, man. Those are important.
Shadow box. You're quite the frame connoisseur.
I know. I don't have a shadow box, but I think they're really cool. So I have nothing.
Since you have the Michigan State Spartans flag behind you, that's pinned up. Probably. What's that pinned up with?
Well, it's actually pinned up with pins.
Pins, like double-sided tape or something like that. Put that Spartan thing in a shadow box.
I'm not just I should.
Speaking of shadow boxes,
first chart coming at request.
Joe, checkout base is loaded, by the way. That's his Joe. But Joe, we were talking about Jan Class 3. I asked him what should be on Tech Talk. What do we think here, dude?
We talked about this one last time. You didn't change the Fibonacci retracement on there, did you?
I did not.
Or you didn't change anything on here.
Well, I think I didn't. I think what we've added here is this trend, this trend line right here, which we seem to close through it today. And stop short right at $17.
I don't know if you had that on there from last time or not, but you are correct. Close right above there today. Looks like 1722, 1720 coming in hot here.
It could be. I mean, you've got a couple things leaning that way, right? So if you look at some of the secondary stuff, I'm just going to roll this up a little bit, but this RSI crossed into oversold territory here, stayed that way, and then came back out. So what that implies is that once you cross into oversold, it's a little bit of it's a warning signal, right? If you're short, be a little bit careful that the momentum in the marketplace is starting to slow down. Sellers, need to continue this type of rate of change in order to maintain being quote oversold. Mm-hmm. Coming out of that just shows that if you were to use it as a trading signal, you would then be liquidating shorts at this point, getting out of where it crossed back above that oversold territory. So it's not so much the cross into the territory, it's going and then coming back out.
Right.
So, you have that, and then you have, a lot of this stuff does trade technically, right? And so if you look at, this piece of it, right, it was trending lower, that's broken through that, and it's got room to go test, this area, which is basically the upper end of that, overbought territory then is this red line. So this would imply that there's further strength to go in the futures, right? The futures have to go up in order for this to continue climbing higher.
Right.
Conversely, this is this one over here, this momentum indicator, it's just where does today's close relative to the last 12? It double bottomed and is approaching zero, which would mean that this close will then be high. If you cross from negative to positive, so go over cross zero, you would then imply that this close is higher than the last 12. So you really would need to close over this bar right here. What's this open? $17.18. So again, some of the secondary stuff is certainly pointing to the potential for more strength. And then again, you had this big, you have this trend that got broken, closed through it today. It's doing it on good volume. We had a huge build in open interest, right around here, right? So there's some things adding up.
I guess my only question or concern would be if we don't get the uptick that we're kind of expecting going into tomorrow, looking at the RSI here, would the chart act like it did going back into middle of October where we had a nice run about $1 higher and then completely fell apart from 1895 down to 1740. We have that run up to 1770, crashed down to 1620. Could that pendulum keep kind of swinging that way? I guess would be my.
No, I mean it certainly is a fair point. So I just clicked over to check out what current cash is with no premiums, right? It's about 1622. Call it easy math, 1620. If you add a nickel's worth of premium, we're more like a 1670 contract. So Jan at 1699 isn't a huge premium. Right. $17. It's if again, checkout base is loaded and learn more about that stuff, but it's not that big of a premium. But the concern here is what you've seen. You pointed it out here already, right? This candle right here, this bar right here, where you try to, that would be the big concern here, and the big warning sign that we're going back down to like, test this low is that you get a bar like this.
Right.
Try to rally, open higher, try to rally, fail, and then close lower within this bar right here.
Exactly.
Within that bar. That would be, so I believe the term for that, like the technical term for that is hanging cloud.
Hanging cloud. Okay.
So that, like, you got to be really, careful about that. Conversely, if you open higher and then, just like get kind of like a candle like today's, where you open higher, close higher, get some good volume, that could be a nice little stair stepping to, again, seeing some of these retracement levels materialize.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of do or die time. I mean, it doesn't start pricing until next week is week 5 of D's, right?
Correct.
So it's got another, the rest of this week and then next week before it starts pricing. So obviously a lot can happen between now and then in cash.
Yeah.
But to me, I think there's some room still to go up. The secondary stuff is pointing to that. And plus, like I said, you have that big build in open interest, kind of like right around here, where that roll was happening, right? Where it seemed like the buyer of D, seller of G, may or may not have been a speculative player. And then the question is, who is the new long in January right around here for some big size?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah. We learned a new term today also.
Hanging cloud.
Hanging cloud.
What was that thing in like Florida? It was like the hanging Chad or whatever. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, I do. What was that from?
I think it was Gore Bush.
Yeah, that's right.
The hanging Chad.
That's right.
Like you could make that like a new technical like indicator. Instead of a hanging cloud, you could have a hanging Chad where it's like dribbling lower or something like that. Yeah, there you go. This is creativity here. You want to look at Feb fats. This is Feb Live Cattle. Fats is the vernacular for live cattle.
Last time, well, I don't know if it was on the last Tech Talk, but we had talked about fats quite a bit, just cattle in general. But we were talking about, can this move that we've seen being so nasty to the downward side, can it break into some new contract lows? And I mean, today we did, right? If I'm not mistaken, looking back.
I mean, there's a pretty nasty downtrend that's persisted here, right? In several degrees.
And I was just, before we got on, or when we were talking about this, I was looking at the RSI, which is, just touching the oversold territory right now, which means we could have a little bit of a rally higher here. But the last time we did it, we didn't rally too much before we completely came back and just kind of crashed on ourselves.
I was going to say, you've seen that a few times.
Exactly.
So I think, like, to kind of build off what you're saying, again, remember this stuff does trade technically.
Yep.
Right? So you not only need to get out of oversold territory, but you got to clear this kind of hurdle right here.
Right. And then look at the momentum's in new lows right now too.
So you're getting conflicting arguments here.
Yep.
Not like what we saw in Jan, but for class 3. But here, you're 100% correct. This is new lows, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. No bueno.
Right.
And I mean, going like this is a weekly. Yikes.
Yeah.
This looks bad. If you go like long term, that's no good.
Yeah, this week right now, and it is Wednesday, right? Wednesday afternoon, closed below there. So
I mean, this is going back to 2020, but I mean, this thing just looks. I mean, this looks like just the beginning of this move.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we've all kind of looked at feeders and fats, and I know we're looking at fats right now, but I mean, like this cattle is like, man, it's just had such a big break here recently, but I mean, not really.
Right.
Not really.
Yeah, and that's what everyone keeps saying is these are still very high prices for where we've been in the cattle index for the past how many years. And that is true. It's just when you look at it on a daily and even bring it to a weekly, it's not looking very bullish, I guess, at this point.
No, it's really not. So this longer term stuff is definitely looking like it wants to at least go. I mean, I would imagine 150 is going to be like a big point. That's right around 147 is going to be that first level of retracement. But even if you don't believe in that, like these retracement levels, just looking at the chart alone, this looks terrible. Like this, if you get this close here and then an open lower, I mean, it could turn into a bit of a free fall.
Yeah, because there's not really anything on this chart that's saying, okay, here's the next point of support. You're through 165, which I guess a lot of people might have called support at that point. But
I was going to say, like, that's not 100% true, right? I mean, it's
right.
Yeah, the launch button off that.
So 150, I guess.
That would be, I think, the next stopping point would be like right here is where right here, 145, 144, 145. I think this break is material, right? You had a nice trend, failed to make into a new high, had some pretty big bars here, right? This one, and now this one. This feels weak. like this looks like it could roll over and still be like higher than what we've seen in the past, right?
Right.
And
Exactly.
you go back to this is a monthly, and I mean, look at this through that. Next stop, is it here? I mean, this just looks like it could turn into a bit of a free fall. Like there's
Right.
that. Okay, so there's that 145 area that we just talked about.
Yep.
This stuff right here.
Right. I mean, like we had mentioned, still high prices looking back in the grand scheme of things, back to 2008, 2007. But realistically, for what we've seen recently, I mean, this is a huge sell-off from 196 to 164-ish today.
Sure. And look at this. So this broke through all like this. Like if you want to use this as kind of like, that's starting to break through there, right? And it's if this dash line is 0, so that would be a big change in the long-term momentum of this. Mm-hmm. This hasn't been in the negative since what is this, early 2021? That would be a big change. And it's being supplemented by the fact that you got into overbought territory and then not only came out of that, but are moving lower through it, right? We just saw, previously where, it wasn't getting out of oversold just yet. It kind of kept bumping along in that area. So this, I mean, the longer term stuff is definitely looking like it's got more. Let's do this real fast. Oof.
It's close.
That's close. I mean, it's right there. I mean, that could get wicked.
And it's only the 6th right now of the month. So
correct. It's a monthly. So I don't know. This could get a little dicey.
Doesn't look good.
Ooh, this was your last one you want to look at.
Yeah. I believe last time we took a little peeky at crude, we were sitting right below $80 a barrel, and here we are below 70.
A little peeky.
A little peeky. I mean, I'd say hold off filling up your gas tanks for a little while here, folks. We might have a downward slide in the barrel, or in the crude barrel here.
You got barrels on the brain, dude. Barrels on the brain. I would agree. And again, go back and look at some of the stuff that does trade technically. I mean, you failed to maintain a positive momentum and then did like a testing of that, right? And then failed again. That's very weak price action. You have a double top here, or no, not even a double top. Sorry, this is a failure to make a new high. That's more of an M, isn't it?
That's what it looks like.
That's not good.
No.
This doesn't look good. It's tough to say like where you'd start to run out of gas, no pun intended. I mean, I drew this here. This is where, this most recent low, right?
Yeah.
But still plenty of room there to go. So this looks like it wants to go test this area. I mean, long story short.
So I flipped to a weekly real fast, and it's okay. You get around this 70 type number, and there's a little bit of support down there. I mean, we've tested some lows of 63.5, but bounce back from there.
Well, I mean, this should help the consumer, right? Let's look at a quick monthly. This should help the consumer. Gosh, look at this. Remember this? I
do remember that.
When it went and traded negative.
And people didn't remember that crude could trade into the negative.
I didn't even know that was true until I had to call. I think I called ADM. Like, I think there's something broken on our platform. It says negative. Yeah, that's true. Like, psych. You can do that. So, I mean, just going back to this, I'm going to exclude this bar because this is kind of ridiculous. But just use that. Like, I don't want to do this.
Right.
Right. I think we should do that instead. So, we've had a breakout, and like this to me is probably the most the most interesting piece of this chart is right here. Right. Tried to get back up, and then this isn't even like a hanging cloud, right? Where it only this is more of a bearish engulfing. Like the cloud cover is like it tries to rally, get above the previous candle's high, and then comes back down and settles within that bar and is a red candle, right? This is just completely engulfing. So this would suggest too that you got to go down here and test those lows that we just talked about.
Yeah, which, like you said, around this time of year, I think most people would be excited about it. Not everyone, but most. Right? A lot of travel, holidays.
You going anywhere for the holiday, by the way?
I don't think so. Not that I know of. What about you?
I'm going to go to Dallas. DFW.
There you go. Oh. Well, maybe your plane ticket will be a little bit cheaper because of crude.
I already bought it.
Oh, never mind then.
It's in like 2 weeks.
Never mind. All right, everybody. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate Joe Schmidt reaching out to us, asking about a chart. Shout out to Joe. check out Bases Loaded. So until then, everybody, have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you next week. Same time, same bat channel.
I think next year you should be Adam West for Halloween.
Oh,
Just gonna throw it out there.
Can we go back to the old Batman and Robin, like the old ones where it looks like they just put them together in somebody's house in like 5 minutes? Those are awesome.
Yeah, and like they punch somebody and like the BAM pops up.
Like Paige could have us be like where it spins in and spins out. That would be